Assassin's Creed Infinity, the 275th installment in the Assassin's Creed franchise. I don't know about you, but I'm putting my money on that Infinity is gonna be garbage, obviously.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of year. The time when we start to hear little details, little drips of information with regards to the upcoming Assassin's Creed game for that year. It's starting now. We're getting an actual report on how the Assassin's Creed Infinity launcher is going to work.
Oh boy, a new special launcher for a game no one wants to buy in the first place from a studio that everyone considers worse than Blizzard at this point. That's great news. Maybe this Assassin's Creed will have water physics, because the last one didn't. Yeah, I know. Surprising. Also, maybe this Assassin's Creed is actually gonna have functional parkour, which you think is kind of important part of Assassin's Creed, but, well, the last one didn't.
And while it's interesting and it's novel and different, there are some concerning things because the entire thing seems to be built up almost entirely around selling you stuff. There are some red flags. I'll get to it. Today's report comes from the one and only.
I'm not gonna lie. That is so expected.
All-star Ubisoft reporter Tom Henderson, the man, the myth, the legend. This guy has done a ton of reporting on Ubisoft, whether you're talking about Assassin's Creed Mirage, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, Star Wars Outlaws, AC Infinity, AC Red, all of these games.
Star Wars Outlaws is gonna be an absolute girl boss disaster because Disney is still going as woke as humanly possible, and I don't think they're stopping any moment now. Because recently, by the way, if you did not hear about Disney, their highest level executives just came out and said it's the fans' fault that this didn't succeed. And when you just blatantly say, "Oh, it's the fans' fault," and you hear that from upper management, yeah, you know that things are real bad, and they're probably not gonna get better any day now.
Games have received a lot of reporting from him, and he's never really been wrong that I can think of. Like, I can't think of a single instance where any of his reporting has ended up being untrue or falsified, so that's kind of cool. The point is, this guy knows what he's talking about, and if he's reporting on something like the Assassin's Creed Infinity Live Service Hub, he probably knows what he's talking about, and he's certainly not just making this stuff up. So, as with all leaks or rumors or reporting on something that hasn't been revealed to the public, you should take it with a grain of salt. But this is not a guy that tends to warrant much salt. As previously reported, Assassin's Creed Infinity is going to be the core hub of the franchise for games like AC Red, Hexe, and Invictus. It's where they're all going to be launched on. And some people are confused as to what exactly this means, and he's going to get into it here in a second. But basically think of how Fortnite or Call of Duty HQ work currently, where they are a central hub or app, and they have a UI.
Yeah, because, I mean, you probably like that so much, don't you? Dude, the Blizzard, the launcher that I'm using to play Season of Discovery, I think it was 3 days or a week-ish ago or something like that, it started telling me, you're not using the most updated launcher. Bro, when you make a launcher that literally is too stupid to update itself, you have problems.
Or some sort of live component where the player can walk around in a centralized hub, but from that hub, whether it's a menu or whatever else, you can then launch into different experiences or different game modes. With COD, this might be launching into zombies versus Warzone versus multiplayer versus the campaign, or with Fortnite, it could be Lego Fortnite, the build mode, the race mode, the no build mode, etc., etc. It's not a super novel concept, but the basic idea of that is that then you have a centralized app that you can get players accustomed to using day in, day out, or for months and months, years and years. And from there, you can sell them experiences or cosmetics that could even spill over across multiple different experiences. So, for example, in Fortnite, you buy a skin that you use in the no-build Battle Royale mode, but you can then use that same skin in the build mode, or in the creative mode, or any of the others that you want to use it in. In some ways, it's meant to give players more bang for their buck when it comes to cosmetics, because they can use them across multiple games or experiences. But to be fair, on the other hand, it's also just a way to try...
Wow, considering I don't play Fortnite, I have literally never played Fortnite, by the way. Yeah, this seems like an absolute blatant ripoff.
And get you all the more committed and synced into an ecosystem, which is what these things are about. Call of Duty wants to have their own ecosystem, Fortnite has their own ecosystem, and Ubisoft wants to have their own Assassin's Creed ecosystem where all of the games are housed. Now, it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to do it, and the reason for that is you're on their platform. They can show you ads for their other games. And, you know, even if 1% of people over a year who see the ad are gonna buy it, that's still free money, essentially, and they lose nothing. You know? It's just free real estate. That's why I said when Diablo 4 went to Steam, that was just admitting defeat, because Blizzard, for example, want to keep everything on their Blizzard launcher, and anything that is not on the Blizzard launcher is an objective failure because they no longer can sell you World of Warcraft skins and ads and things like that. They can't tell you the amazing news that's happening in other games. There was a time when every game a gaming company wanted to do and make this, because essentially this is a miniaturized version of Steam to a certain degree. You will remember Ubisoft's like NFT skin or whatever company tried to pull that garbage. It was the one behind Rainbow Six Siege, I think. Don't remember what's their name. I think it's Ubisoft. Well, no, it's not Ubisoft. Who cares? Everyone wants to do that because the reality is, yeah, Steam's literally a money printer, okay? And that's because not that they sell games, but because they have a marketplace. Steam is taking a cut from everything sold. Every time there comes in a game that has like some kind of collectible cards, that's just free real estate for Steam because they're gonna get money from that, okay? It is absolutely insane and incomprehensible how much money they make. And that is why everyone wants their launcher, because having your own launcher is putting you one step closer to essentially having the Steam marketplace.
Is that they actually got demo footage provided to them under the condition that the footage doesn't go public. And to be fair, this is pretty normal. If a leaker or a developer wants to leak information or footage of a certain game or feature set, they might do that with a reporter they trust, so long as it's not made public, because there's all sorts of watermarks, employee IDs, things like that scrawled all over the screen. So it's pretty normal for them not to release this type of footage if they do see it. And in this footage, it shows the user going from the Infinity Hub to Assassin's Creed Red within just a few seconds, picking up right where they left off rather than having to boot the games up individually after falling back to the hub, which already is a massive improvement over how, say, Call of Duty HQ works, where depending on which experience or game you want to launch into, it might cause one app to fully close and another one to fully open, versus what like Fortnite does, where it's just open.
Beautiful classic shit, eh?
Opening a different mode, you tap this, you're in no build, you tap that, you're in build mode, you tap this, it's in creative. It's just super seamless and fluid. It seems that they're pushing for more of a fluid Fortnite experience. Man, I'm not used to talking about Fortnite this much. I'm getting lightheaded. Is this normal? Is this normal for Fortnite discussions? I've told the story before on my live streams, which you should definitely subscribe to. But like one time I was going over to my parents' house where my little brother still lives, and I was going to try to be like a really good big brother and bring my like gaming laptop. And I said, hey, we can play Fortnite, because he loves Fortnite. He takes it very seriously, which you would expect, being like 13 at the time, roughly. And so I was like, hey, buddy, look, I brought my laptop. I'm ready to play some Fortnite. You want to just set up and play some? You can play on the PS4.
And he slaps him, calls him a noob, and says, laptop, I'm a gamer, bro. What the fuck do you mean laptop? You are disowned from this family. And
I'll play on my gaming laptop. And he said, well, we could. Do you have any not noob skins? I don't think so. I don't really play this much. I just have the default skins. He's like, yeah, well, if you don't have any other skins, my friends will make fun of you, so you should probably get some other skins.
Oh yeah, this is actually a real thing. Still happens, by the way, as much as I can understand.
It's like, oh my god, I'm being bullied by a 13-year-old for not having different skins or a non-noob skin to play with in the game. It was pretty majestic and wonderful. So I think that explains the culture with skins in Fortnite, where they've convinced preteens and teenagers that if you don't pay for skins,
bro, they haven't convinced anything. It's just kids want to make fun of each other and stuff like that. Fortnite didn't do any of that, okay? Kids just did kid things, and this was the kid thing outcome.
you're not cool. And I am a prime example of a non-cool Fortnite player, apparently. Now, it's no surprise to anybody that the main focus of Assassin's Creed Infinity is to center everything around this live service offering. Live service is kind of a nothing.
That's what you want to hear from your game? Oh, it's centered about a live service. Said no one.
Term nowadays. It doesn't really mean anything because they use it for so many games all at once. It's like these executives think that it's like a selling point for players, but it usually isn't, because often all live service games are games meant to be alive for multiple years, where they're going to sell you multiple cosmetics or battle passes, season passes, expansions, what have you, in an effort to increase the overall revenue they make from this one game. So instead of just selling it to you for 60, 70 bucks, and that's all the money they make from it, they sell it to you for 60, 70 bucks, and then you play it for 2-3 years. You buy a bunch of expansions at 20 bucks a pop, some cosmetics, and before you know it, you've spent a total of $200 on that game, whereas before they would have only made 70 on it. Business-wise, it makes sense. Accurate. And you could say, well, what's the problem? If players are getting a game that they play more, isn't that a win for players? Well, for some players, sure. For others, though, they just end up with a game that's built around wasting their time and bloating every activity.
Well, to be fair, I mean, it's kind of stupid that game companies do it, but it's not their fault if someone is gonna waste their time on that game, okay? It's not their fault.
Into something that takes way longer than it should. If you want to improve this gun or this weapon, cool, you're gonna need to grind for 3 days or for a week of gameplay time to get all of the things you need to actually improve that weapon. So everything is just stretched and bloated to try and make you spend more time in the game, when in reality, it just ends up with you wasting way more of your time. Now, the way they're doing this in AC Red is interesting. They're told that this is done via a modern day story. To start, Infinity will launch on the same day as AC Red and will contain several features that you would expect from a live service. What features are those? Things like battle passes, paid cosmetics, shops, that type of thing. The Exchange will be the item shop, offering players the opportunity to purchase daily and weekly in-game cosmetics for Red's two protagonists, Naoe, maybe, and Yasuke. I'm American, what did you expect? In addition to the Exchange, Infinity also has a synchronization feature that allows the player to access projects for each protagonist. Ooh, what are projects? This sounds promising.
No one cares, probably.
To explain them in their simplest form, projects are mini battle passes with a narrative.
Oh boy. Ubisoft truly is a step. Okay, so they're not gonna sell one battle pass. They're gonna sell multiple battle passes. Admittedly, I think this is pretty smart from a business perspective, but pretty fucking shit from a player perspective. And don't be fooled, it is bad. If you're currently saying, but that's great. That means I can buy a battle pass for the hero or champion or whatever that I want to play, and then I can do that. Yes, but at some point you're going to be bored, and that means you're going to buy another battle pass for another hero, because you're probably not going to just, be a one-trick pony on that one character for the rest of your playtime. So that means, even if you think that's good because you're a one-character Andy, that's bad, because at some point you're going to switch and you're going to buy the battle pass anyway. So their idea is essentially just, okay, we're going to sell separate battle passes for each character. And, well, needless to say, smart business decision. But how will that end in real life? Well, like a shit show, obviously, when it actually releases.
Behind them, offering players the ability to earn cosmetic rewards. Projects will be added throughout Infinity constantly, focusing mainly on DLC and new game releases, or even as a means of sustaining player interest during a lack of any new content. Again, just a battle pass, basically. Now, maybe this is a hot take in 2024, but I don't think of battle passes as belonging in like single player games. But here's the tricky thing.
Neither do I, but I mean, the people at the top don't care. And the reality is, if you have the money, I mean, fucking buying a battle pass actually is value. Buying a skin is actually value. Again, I played Lost Ark for 3,000 hours. Character gets boring. No longer fun playing your Deadblade for the 3,000th hour. Buy a skin. Suddenly it's all amazing, good in the hood, and everything's peachy squeaky clean yet again. It is what it is, boys.
Some of Assassin's Creed's upcoming games are going to be single-player narrative games or open-world adventure games and smaller.
Now, obviously, the problem starts here when they add these battle passes, they add these items that you can buy, and to sell these items, they got the game. Now, that is a problem, and that's obviously bad for fun. But if you have a single-player game, or a game that you play a long time, I think a lot of gamers have been in this position where you're gonna agree with me. Yes, buying some kind of skin gives you that, this feels fresh again, you know? For example, in Path of Exile, it's, if you get bored of playing a skill, just buy skin for it. Suddenly it's all fresh and fine and dandy yet again. It's crazy how these things work. So, having skins in a single-player game, now, granted, obviously, they could have been there just for you to farm in-game, normally. But then again, for example, in my situation, I'm going to slightly defend this practice, because even though there is no excuse to not put the skin in the game by default, but only have it for money, that if I'm playing some kind of game and I need to spend like 3 hours grinding for some kind of skin, even if it's free, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to spend 3 hours achieving nothing just to get a skin in the game, probably. Okay? I'm only going to do that if I am beyond super committed, probably. So, I don't think it's a real option.
More stealth-focused games like Mirage. And then there's also going to be a lot of multiplayer games, a lot of games that focus on your traditional live service components where it's just about repeated matches, or maybe it's like an extraction-based game or a co-op assassination game, whatever it may end up looking like. So it's going to be a little bit all over the place as to how they monetize this, because in some of those formats, a battle pass makes sense. Like, okay, you grind experience by completing all of these matches, and then you gain new cosmetics. Okay, easy peasy. That's what Helldivers is doing. It's what a lot of games do. Checks out. But then on the other side of it, you have a game like Assassin's Creed Red, which by all accounts is going to be a game set in Japan that's sort of in the same family as Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Dude, they took actually so long to just put their setting in Japan, honestly, considering you're an assassin. The Middle East assassin dynasty of Hassans? What the hell? No one knows what that is. How about Asia? Yeah, ninjas and assassins and things like that. And, cutting your bellies open with your sword because you failed to catch a fish, and now your dad's real mad at you for bringing shame to your family. It took them a long time, honestly, to go that route.
And then you're just wondering how a battle pass works for that game. Is it just go fight waves and waves of enemies and you'll grind XP that way?
Probably.
Is it you get a new cosmetic for every 15 bases you clear? I mean, it has the potential to really exacerbate the things that players hate about open world design from Ubisoft.
It probably will be that, because, again, I think if you're a good company, you can actually make a battle pass that is really supplementary to a player's enjoyment and experience of a game. I really do think that's possible. But man, when we're talking about all the shit tier companies like Ubisoft, Blizzard, and all of that jazz, now every time they make a battle pass, it's just, a leech thing.
Which is that they lean in too heavily on repetitive checklisted content. because they're trying to bloat those gameplay hours to keep you engaged with the game for longer and longer. And if these games are built around little battle passes of tedious activities that they want you to continue going through and checking off the list time and time again as the seasons go by, that to me is worrisome, because it almost seems like they're doubling down on all of the things that players want them to shed from their game design philosophy, which
Probably.
it's the opposite of what we were hoping they would be doing, which is
Obviously, they made money. Now they're not allowed to make less money, so congratulations, it stays.
a little frustrating. They go on, it's understood that the current strategy for Ubisoft with Infinity is to release a mainline game every 2 years, with smaller experiences in between. Red is scheduled for later this year, with Invictus, a multiplayer offering, being planned for next year, 2025, and Hexe is planned in 2026. The latter title, penned as being the darkest Assassin's Creed game ever, whatever that means, will have a lead female protagonist currently named Elsa for the first time.
Oh boy, the darkest Assassin's Creed game ever with a female protagonist. Oh boy, I can't wait for this to happen because it's gonna be amazing, said literally no one ever. Ubisoft is already a woke garbage dumpster fire. Now it's gonna get worse.
Time since Assassin's Creed Chronicles China back in 2015. Beyond that, they have other projects in the works, such as Project Obsidian, which is just the Black Flag remake that's probably targeting more of like a 2027 2028 release window, because they're starting on that right after Skull and Bones, which is like,
yeah, and Skull and Bones wasn't an absolute objective disaster by all measurements.
now the same team that did Skull and Bones is working on that, and presumably they
Did you hear that? The same team that worked on Skull and Bones is working on another game. That game development is one of those rare, strange, fairy place wonderland type of things where you can be a complete objective loser, a complete objective failure, where you can lose money for the company time and time again, where you can produce disaster after disaster after disaster, looking at Diablo 4, by the way, and you're still not gonna get fired. I don't understand how honestly gaming works. People do the worst job possible, completely fail, the community hates them, and everyone is wishing them to get fired, and the people at the top are saying, "You did good, Chief. You failed 5 times in a row and disappointed us 5 times in a row, but you're still the bestest ever." How does this even work?
they've only barely started, so that's a good long ways out to rebuild that game in its entirety. Nebula is a game that's based in India, the Aztec Empire, and or the Mediterranean. I've seen conflicting reports. Some groups have said that it's going to include all 3 of those locations. Others said that they're going back and forth between them. Others said that it's going to be like 3 protagonists kind of split through time periods. I don't really know, and I'm not sure if they know, so I am not going to pretend to know.
Assassin's Creed's weakest part was always the fact that it involves timey-wimey things.
Raid is another project they're working on, which is a free-to-play 4-player co-op game that's PvE.
That's gonna die, probably.
Echoes is another multiplayer title, and another Assassin's Creed remake, which are all scheduled to be released by the end of the decade. I don't know what this remake is going to be. It could be 2, it could be a remake of Unity,
Bro, let's be real.
could be anything. I'm not really sure, and I don't think it's been confirmed as of right now with any really reliable reporting what exactly that second remake could be. And so hopefully you see what I mean, where some of these, it makes sense to have little battle passes and stuff, like the free-to-play 4-player co-op game. Okay, that makes sense. You release.
Nah, this is absolutely then. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Luke Stephens, boys. It is what it is. Assassin's Creed is so over. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sid saying thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.